Welcome to Bridging the Education Gap, the podcast where parents, teachers, and education leaders come together to share insights, stories, and strategies that connect learning at home and in school. Whether you're a parent navigating homework struggles, a teacher fostering classroom breakthroughs, or an education leader seeking innovative solutions, this is your space to learn, grow, and collaborate. Each week, we dive into real conversations about education, from tackling pain points to celebrating success stories, all with one goal: to bridge the gap and empower every child's learning journey. I'm your host, Jessica Shelley. Let's get started. Today, we're speaking with Martin Beckman, a passionate educator and leader whose approach to teaching and administration is rooted in love, humor, and positive leadership. Martin has spent over a decade shaping the lives of students and supporting the educators who work with them. We're going to learn all about these core values and how they play a role in his leadership style and why he believes they're essential for success in the classroom and beyond. Martin, it's great to have you here today.
Yeah, over a decade makes me feel really old, but you're right. It's been over a decade. Happy to be here.
Yeah, no, we're excited to dive into your story today. I know when we initially connected, you had mentioned that your mom played a significant role in inspiring your journey into education. Can you tell us more about this and how this has influenced your decision to pursue this as a career?
Yeah, absolutely. So, probably like a lot of other kids during high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, with my future or my career. My father was a dentist, and my hands are way too big for that, so I figured ruled that out. My mom was an elementary teacher in the parochial charter system in Greater Cleveland, and just seeing, the joy, the triumphs, the struggles, the silly things that she brought home, I kind of said to myself, I could see myself doing that. I'm kind of a silly, young at heart person in general. So, they say that working with children keeps you young. I figured that would be something that would work really well with me. And I shadowed her a couple of times on like the take your kid to work day or career days, and it just felt like it clicked. So from there, I decided that was what I wanted to pursue with my profession.
Yeah, and then you started as a teacher and now you are in administration. So how have those early classroom experiences really shaped the way that you lead today?
Yeah, it's run the gambit. Yeah, I started as a fourth and fifth grade joint classroom teacher, all subjects except for music because I am not inclined in that direction. I taught that fourth and fifth grade split for 4 years, and then I had an opportunity to move into administration at a new building plant, still in the similar to my mother, parochial system in Cleveland. And so I thought, why not? Like, I liked the ability to affect positively, the 25 kids that I had in my room. Why not expand that to 200 kids in the building? Get, a little bit more hands on the wheel. That opportunity was great. I was doing the building principal job while still being a full-time classroom teacher. So that was a lot to juggle. Educators wear a lot of hats. So one year it was a fifth and sixth grade split while being the building principal. The next year was 6-7. The year after that was 7-8. So those poor kids, they had me for like 4 years straight, which made classroom management really easy because, it's the second day of school. I go, you guys remember what you did for the last 3 years, right? Cool. We're going to do the same thing, except we're going to learn something different this year. Let's go ahead. So it was a lot, but I do really think that helped me in terms of compartmentalization, time management, focus, delegation of tasks. And I also think that it helped me keep a really good finger on the pulse of what classroom teachers needed and wanted from me as an administrator, because I was also experiencing the same thing. I know that in certain situations and circumstances, sometimes there can be that real or not real, perceived or unperceived buffer between administration and classroom teachers. And being in the unique situation that I was in, I found it really easy to sort of break down that barrier and just really be in step with what teachers needed. So if there were changes, positive or negative things that needed to be addressed or adjusted, I felt better equipped.
Yeah. And then let's dive a little deeper into your philosophy that guides your leadership, because it's not just rooted in, the experience and the expertise that you have from kind of that dual sort of position, but also like the deeper who is Martin? How does this kind of come out in your leadership style? So I know that we had chatted a little bit about how humor and love are those kind of key components of your approach. And so the next kind of series of discussion will be focused around that. So, you talk about love being a driving force behind what you do. So how does love manifest in your leadership, both with your students and your staff?
Yeah, I think, what's that silly phrase? Like, find a job that you love and you'll never work a day in your life. I think that's a little wrong. I think if you find something that you love, you'll work harder than you ever have. It just won't feel like work. I was born and raised in that parochial system, so faith was a component of my upbringing. You might call it destiny, you might call it fate, you might call it the guiding hand of whoever your creator is. I feel fated to be an educator. So that was a big motivator, and it really helped me fall in love with education. It's just, I love it. Like being, and maybe part of it's sort of that servant leadership piece, which is a big component of how I like to lead. I told teachers at the beginning of the year, every year, I work for you. I'm not your boss. I am essentially the conduit to getting things done. So what you need to, what you need, what you want in your classroom, you tell me. I'm working for you because I want them to be successful. And I feel like adding the layer of love to it, wanting to be of service, wanting to support, that makes that role a lot easier because then, by extension, I sort of get joy or feel success or achievement when teachers are able to bring about positive changes in their classroom. But also, so that's like the adult piece, I guess. You could also section it off to the kids piece. Obviously, people who get into education, they're not doing it to get rich. They do it because they love kids, or they do it because they want to bring about positive change. I tell these kids every single day that I love them, and sometimes they give me eyebrows, like, what do you mean you love me? I'm like, I love you guys. I tell them that every morning on announcements, I love you, I hope you have a good day, and that's it. Do something silly and stupid, they're in my office and I'm reprimanding them or weighing out the consequences. I love you. You made a choice. That choice has a consequence. We're going to go ahead and move forward with that consequence. It doesn't change how I feel about you. I still love you. I still want you here. I'm still happy that you're here. We're just going to work through it. So I think the kids can pick up on that a lot because maybe that's not something that they get from where they come from. We are a free and reduced lunch school. We are a Title I school. So we have a variety of backgrounds, family structures, socioeconomic situations. So the ability to offer stable, consistent love to these kids, I think, is something that really helps them thrive. So if I can be the person that does that, I'm happy to be the person that does that.
Yeah, and then also that relationship that they then have with their teachers because you're showing love to the teachers, and then hopefully that's also what they're in turn showing their students.
All the way around. Yeah. Everybody love everybody. You don't have to like everybody, but you gotta love everybody.
Right. That culture. Humor is another big part of your approach. So tell us a little bit more about how humor plays a role in managing stress, keeping morale high, or building connections with staff.
Yeah, it's life's too short to take it too seriously, I think, is a big, I tell staff all the time, if you can't laugh at the things that happen in your room, what are you doing? Because, and I'm sure most educators have just volumes upon volumes of books that they could publish with the things that make you go, what am I dealing with right now? Both frustrating, but also just the silliest things. I'll spare the stories, but there are enough of them where you just go, the only thing I can do is laugh. I can't be mad at this. I can't be frustrated with this. That's it. And I think that sort of creates, viewing things through that lens creates that lightheartedness of, I'm gonna laugh. I'm going to bring joy to this situation that could be frustrating, could be difficult. Not all kids want to be here. Some kids are going to grind your gears. But if you can find something to giggle with them about, I think it really helps them drop their walls of emotional defenses and allows them to be a little bit more safe and vulnerable with you. And I think that enables a deeper connection between staff and students, but I think that also deepens connection with staff. I think everybody needs to laugh. And even if it's poking fun at each other, it's poking fun at the kids a little bit. I'm brave enough to admit it. We all do it. I just think that that's such an important part of the whole educational picture because it lightens the mood, it improves the culture, everybody just feels a little bit lighter. So any opportunity, whether it's just we do a joke of the day in the morning and students will bring in the submissions. They're all student submissions. I've got a giant bucket in my office and reach in, pull a name out. It's probably 4 or 5 times a day. Students will come to me, Mr. Beckman, I have a joke for you. Can I tell it to you? Nope, write it down on a piece of paper and give it to me. Some of them make no sense at all. Some of them are really funny, but just the joy that they experience when they say, this joke is brought to you by so-and-so, and tell them the joke. They'll come running down the hallway later. Oh my gosh, you used my joke. Thank you so much. I thought it was so funny. My whole class laughed. It's easy, it's small. The more you can pepper it in, it really does make a big difference.
Yeah. And then, on the flip side, we may also get some naysayers or some skeptics about using love and humor. So how do you ensure that, utilizing love and humor doesn't compromise the professionalism or the goals or the environment or achievement?
Absolutely. And, I'll take the principal hat off for a second and say, you're wrong. It does work. It's just, as an organization, it's important to have standards and it's important to lay them out very clearly because we have a goal. We have a vision for what we need to do. And a lot of it is we need these kids to GROW. Gap closing is something that pretty much every state report card focuses on. A lot of these kids are coming to us with varied backgrounds, varied deficits, varied needs. So the standards are the standards. The expectations are the expectations. We are going to progress. But you can still have fun while you do that. Just because I'm silly and goofy, or because I make a funny announcement, or when I need to go get a child and bring them down to the office for something and I decide to run into the room like Kramer from Seinfeld, that doesn't mean that our vision has changed. That doesn't mean that we're sacrificing the standards that we're holding these kids to. It's just an opportunity to giggle. And I think neurologically, there's a lot of research that supports that, right? They say if you're feeling down, force yourself to smile, even if it's a fake smile for 5 seconds. It's gonna do something chemically that's going to improve your mood. So if I can do something, even if it makes me look like a little bit of a clown, to make someone else laugh, kids or adult, it's going to do something to raise the bar of enjoyment, of good feelings. And why would you not do that? If you know you can do something to make, even if it's just 1% better, right? It's that compounding effect, it's that slight edge. If every day you're doing something to make 1% better, 1% lighter, 1% happier over a long period of time. I mean, you do that you do that every single day, you're 37% better by the end of the year. Why wouldn't you do that? It costs me nothing. It costs you nothing. Like, I don't know. That's my perspective. That's how I feel about it. It's
Yeah,
free. I don't have to put it into my I don't have to put it into my Procurify and have central office like approve it. Why wouldn't I do it?
right. And it makes it more enjoyable for everyone, really. And like you had, like breaking down those walls and those barriers that, you're reaching so many different students and teachers that are going through different like home lives. It's kind of like
Yeah.
a leveler.
Yeah, and that's not to say that, like, humor covers a multitude of sins. Like, there are certainly times and places for serious emotional conversations. A teacher had a really rough day and they need to be met at a certain place. Like, I should not go in there telling them knock-knock jokes. So obviously it's something that should be used when appropriate. But I think that comes down to loving and knowing your staff. What do they need in that moment? How can you support them? Maybe this isn't the best time for one of those haha moments. Maybe it is. So I think it's a good thing for an educational leader or even an educator in the classroom to have in their arsenal, to have in their quiver. It's something to use to take the edge off, to disarm maybe an elevated or an escalated situation. I would say it's not something that should be poo-pooed offhand.
Yes, yes. Well, sounds like there's a lot of things that you do like day in and day out to support your staff and students. So, what are some of those like daily routines or procedures or strategies that you utilize to really cultivate that positive culture?
So I like that question. It's a tricky one though, because one of the fun things and one of the things that's given me quite a few grays in here is that education is different every single day. You're never going to have days that are exactly the same from Monday to Wednesday to April to May to November to whatever. So I think kids thrive off of having routines and systems that support their ability to be successful. So kind of going back to standards and expectation. As long as teachers can continue to lay those out plainly, I want to do things to support those. So I'll give you an example for today. We were so short-staffed that we did not have enough coverage for every single classroom. So I stepped out of the office and I put on my counselor hat and I went in and taught the tier 1 social emotional lessons for all of the classes today. That enabled teachers to continue to have their planning period. If not, I would have had to ask them, hey guys, like, I know you need that 40 minutes to prepare for next week, but sorry, we don't have enough people while I sit in my office and send emails or while I'm watching lunches. That's fine. I'll go with the kids. Like, we'll play some sort of a social emotional Jeopardy game. Like, it'll be fun. So I guess it's sort of maybe that stepping back into their shoes. And that's obviously not something that can happen every single day at every single minute, but being intentional and looking for opportunities like that to show, again, my professional philosophy, servant leadership. If I can show you that I love that you're here and that I'm happy with the work that you're doing, and I can give you an extra break, or I can give you an attaboy, or I can do something to make your day easier, I'm going to do it. And one of those things is being very present in the classroom. I'm going to pat myself a little bit. I can walk into classrooms and kids don't pick up their heads because I'm so present. I want to be wallpaper because the teachers know that I'm walking, I'm looking. If they need something, whether it's, a professional opinion about a certain situation, or if they've got to go take a bathroom break, or whatever the case may be, I'm available. My door's not closed unless I've got a meeting. I'm out, I'm in the classrooms, I'm there to help. And again, that's an easy thing. That's a free thing. Sometimes it requires some time budgeting, being, really adhering to your schedule. Hey, I'm not available during this time because of a meeting. But when I am available, I want to be seen, I want to be present. Because again, if I'm doing things to try to bring joy, to try to bring love, the more that I can be seen doing that, I think the more that it's going to affect teachers positively. And then, that's like the day to day. And then on, building work days, or if there's a special holiday, like I dress up like Santa every year. I dressed up like a leprechaun for, I'm a 6'3" leprechaun. I dress up like a leprechaun for St. Patrick's Day. I dress up like an old man for 100's Day. Like just being in it and committing to it and be willing to go all in on whatever the thing is. Like just do it. It's fun. People will respond to it. Even if they're a little bit, that's silly, that's over the top. The kids love it. And if I can get the kids to love it, your life is going to be a little bit easier. So I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I guess on that note, you probably have a couple that resist the positive energy, or maybe have at least encountered some along your tenure as an administrator. So how do you kind of combat that and to maintain like that kind of positivity and movement forward as a team?
So that's a really good question, because all people are different people. Right? Everybody has different experiences that shape the way that they are, and they've got different outlooks on what educational philosophy should really be. One of the things that I do, and I got so many eye rolls and groans at the beginning of the year, but I stuck to it and I did it with a little bit of humor, was I do not allow my staff to say they have to do something. I tell them that they get to. So if somebody says, oh, I gotta go do this later, you get to go do this later. I'm not going to be super over the top with some of you that are going to be grouchy, but I'm not going to compromise my, philosophical integrity or the way that I want this building to run, because administrators know this. The buck stops with you. Ultimately, it is your building. So make sure that you're leveraging that in a way where it doesn't sound, this is my school, you're going to do it the way that I want to do it. I don't mean it like that. I mean, you're the one casting the vision. You're the one driving the car. So you need to make sure that you're not compromising yourself or, dulling your shine for someone that doesn't really see things the same way that you do. You don't have to win them over. This doesn't need to be some, I'm going to drop a pop culture reference here, a Ted Lasso situation. But it'd be great if it is. It'd be wonderful if you could win everybody over like that. Some people just aren't going to play ball that way. But continue to love them, continue to support them. Maybe you don't jive with everybody. That's fine, but don't change who you are as an administrator from a beliefs position, because some people aren't going to hop on that bandwagon with you. Continue to just, professionally support them when there are opportunities to, build that relationship, touch base, contact with them. Do it. Because if you're doing it with other people that you do jive with a little bit more, you should be doing it with everybody. Continue to be yourself. Continue to be professional, but really adhere to the standards and the beliefs that you have, because I think people really gravitate towards authenticity. Don't be something you're not.
Love that advice, for sure. I think that also goes with like the teacher's perspective too, where, you have parents kind of coming from different directions. You'll be able to, resonate with some parents more than others, and you still kind of love them through that, knowing that their little child is in your seat in your class. If you could give one piece of advice to new administrators or teachers that are stepping into new leadership roles, what would that be?
That's a good one. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you could go. I think so I guess I can sort of section it by genre, I guess. We just finished our big readathon, so everything's all literacy right now. So from a professional standpoint, adhere to your calendar. Like, schedule the big things first. Your IEPs, your ETRs, your parent meetings, your team conferences, your TBTs, BLTs, all of that stuff. Make sure that those things are getting done, because those are very big pieces in making sure that your culture and climate of your school is moving in a positive direction. Stick to those things. Try not to reschedule them if you can, but fill in the other gaps of your schedule. Like, I know people are different ways, and again, this is just me. You should try to be as present as possible. It's not always possible. Sometimes you need to close the door, draw the blinds, and just put your head down for a minute. Like, that's okay too. But make sure that your calendar is full, right? Like, what's the little quote? Like, show me your calendar and I'll show you your life in 5 years. Like, make sure that it is full and it's full of productive time, because really quickly you will see how big of an impact that has in actualizing the vision that you have for your school. Because, in a lot of situations, principals might be coming into a role where the school is struggling, or the school needs to change direction, or there's some sort of a new initiative that's being pushed forward. You have been hired because the hiring powers that be see you as an important part of that change or that progress. So honor that trust. And one of the ways that you do that is make sure that you're getting the work done. Make sure that you're scheduling. The next thing, I guess, we're switching genres, would be make sure that you're taking time to build relationships with all staff. I don't mean like every Thursday's a happy hour, go out and get drinks. But like as you're wandering around, genuinely, specifically, ask them how you can help them. How's your day going? What was a triumph that you had today? I'm a big guy, I'm like gratitude and appreciation. So if I can tell that somebody's a little down, 3 things that you're thankful for. Like before you're allowed to go anywhere else, I'll play defense and block you in the hallway. Like tell me 3 things that made you happy today or that you're looking forward to later this week. Just little touches like that to show them that you care. You're not just a new administrator that's come in and is going to bring out the broom and cause great sweeping change. Everybody has strengths and you want to support those strengths, but you have to get to know those strengths before you can support them. Same thing on the flip side. Everybody can grow and improve, certainly myself included, but you need to figure out what those areas are and let them know that it's not a OTES observation gotcha. I'm in Ohio for anybody who's not, like OTES. That's our evaluation thing. You want to support them in that. You're on their team. Again, you work for them. I think those would be the 2 big things right off the bat. And then, every district, every school, every system has, where they're moving all together. As you're in that position for a longer period of time, you'll get a good feel for that. And then you can figure out how to sort of marry the district's larger vision and your vision for your building together to, again, move forward positively. Those would be my 2 big things, is fill that calendar with positive stuff and make sure that you are being intentional about getting to know your new staff.
Love it. I think 2 really key takeaways that we can have for our listeners today. As we close out, are there any other areas in education that you're looking to explore or changes that you hope to see in education in the future?
Again, that's another one where it's like, how many different Alice in Wonderland rabbit holes could I go down? There's so many things. I know that, the pandemic was hard on everybody, and I was actually just having this conversation with, so I'm in a K-3 elementary building. Some of our classes are sort of, I don't want to say the last echoes of that, but they were school age when that shut down, when the reopenings with the distancing and the masking and all of the additional considerations that we needed to make was taking place. I'm very excited to see how resilient some of our new learners are. And don't get me wrong, the kids that went through it, bless them, because that was something that a lot of people really struggled with and still continue to struggle with. But kids are tough, and they worked through it, and they learned through it, and they grew through it. I'm really excited to see, now that we've got a little bit more of a return towards, I'm going to say, health situation normal, what the educational landscape continues to look like, where, we learned a lot from that time, how to integrate technology into the classroom, different best practices for dealing with some of the trauma and the crises that students are going through. Now that we're a little bit back to normal, we can take that new knowledge and apply it. So again, 5 years from now, I'm really excited to see what that looks like. For our new young learners that didn't have to experience that or go through that. Now, what are these new best practices that we're able to put together for these kids, and how is that going to benefit and serve them in the future? I'm really looking forward to that, because I hated remote teaching. No one listened to me. I was still 7th and 8th grade teacher and building principal, and no one listened to me on Zoom. I'm happy that I can get them in my office again.
Right. Oh man. Well, I think the positivity, humor, love, I think those are some of those common threads that we chatted about today. Martin, it's been such a pleasure talking with you and hearing about your experiences and approach to leadership. As I mentioned, it's clear that love, humor, and a positive attitude are powerful tools in shaping a thriving school community, as you've seen success with. So thank you so much for sharing your insights and for the incredible work that you're doing in your campus and education as a whole. To our listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Bridging the Education Gap. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and share it with others in your community. Join us next time as we continue to explore how educators and parents can work together to empower every child's learning journey.